A very good morning from whatever it is that you are watching Lookuptv. It is the 10th of January, this Tuesday of 2023. So around 355 days to clear 2023 for those who are counting.
So then can't afford to slack.
Everywhere. So somebody just reminded me this, Nelima, just before we get into a conversation this morning, that locally now, but that's for your digestion, the portable DNA kit, you know, getting DNA has been quite expensive, isn't it?
Right.
It's now just 750 shillings. And somebody ends with it, whatever you do with that information,
That's going to be the next business, the next booming business in the country.
I'm telling you. Anyway, we take a tiny breather right here on the Morning Drift. Once we come back, we'll be taking you all the way to your dailies this morning so that we can see what is trending in as much as that is concerned. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, and we welcome you to our newspaper review this morning. Well, Nelima, I do have the Standard. I know you do have the Daily Nation. What are they headlining?
On this 10th day of January, and on the front cover of the Daily Nation, graft roadblock for job seekers. Now, this is very interesting because there are proposed law changes, and there will be no place for corrupt people in public service at any level. So meaning, as they've put it here, not only will everybody seeking employment in national or county governments, they'll have to be vetted by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. So if you seek a job in the national or county governments, remember these are very many people. And so then they'd have to be vetted. On all the levels, that's what they're saying, isn't it? On all the levels, and the recommendation will be binding for all the employees. So very vital there. And this, of course, is in line with the fight against corruption in the national government and in the county governments as well. So that story will come to you in details in page 7 of the Daily Nation. One other thing that is on top right there, Simba, that is of interest: social media danger to teenagers. And it's talking about spending too much time online is bad for your brain. And I think the conversation is even wider because it's not only for teenagers. Adults spend just as much time. We know all the applications from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, which is slowly becoming, the heart of it. And so difficulties in cognitive emotion. These are some of the effects of spending too much time online, as well as medical problems, including sleeping problems. I know a lot of people, Simba, you have said before that you have insomnia. I don't know if it's related to you spending so much time online. You should be telling us that.
Actually used to be, because I realized that just before I couldn't sleep, then you gotta go through your Instagram, you gotta go through your Facebook, gotta go through your Twitter. And so what I did, I actually did reduce the number of apps that I can have access to.
Right.
And the purpose for that. So now I deleted my Instagram, I deleted my Facebook, all right? I already have Twitter and LinkedIn as the only ones that I can actually go to, and they're specifically for business. So I realized that what that means then is that I don't have the urge just before sleeping or waking up to open up your phone and start looking at it, because then you do know that it's just going to be about business, and my business starts maybe at 6 a.m. in the morning. So that's,
that looks like my resolution.
Yeah,
I'll put it down.
Yeah, please make sure.
I'll put it down because there's a lot of keeping up that we do, keeping up with the Kardashians and keeping up with Instagram friends.
And somebody said this, Nelima, when the product is free, okay? When the product is free, you are the product. So you can actually see Instagram, the likes of TikTok, the likes of Snapchat, all of them are free, isn't it? And then somebody said, if you're not using social media for business, then stop. Until you want to use it for business, gain something out of it, then begin. But if you've got nothing on it, then stop. If it's not going to help you make money, create your brand or build it for commerce purposes, then stop. Because whatever it is doing is just eating into your brain, and issues like this that we're talking about this morning.
Have you ever considered being a life coach?
Yes, one time.
Because you'd make a pretty good life coach.
Oh, yeah?
Right. And of course, still on that, then teens who have always used their smartphones have addictive use of social media, giving them a sense of missing out. It's called the FOMO, fear of missing out. Like you want to be updated and you want to be current and you just want to be trendy and fancy as well. And so that story comes to you on page 3 of the Daily Nation. And as well, Something that I had mentioned earlier, Simba, about President William Ruto reorganizing his government just 3 months into office. Remember, in those 100 days, then there were a lot of expectations, and the president did say that his government needs more time to deliver on the promises that they made on the campaign trail. And of course, given the retreat that happened last week in Nanyuki, just to make sure that the cabinet secretaries and the other government leaders as well are making sure that the president will deliver on the promises that he made. And so the president has reorganized his government and splitting some key ministries and renaming others and reassigning some functions. So he has actually reassigned a few more functions to the deputy president, who is Rigathi Gachagua, giving him additional responsibilities to oversee the coffee subsector reforms, implementation of committee through executive orders. And so there are a few changes right there that comes to you on page 4 of the Daily Nation. And remember, the president did say that all this he is doing in order for the Kenya Kwanza government to realize its dreams and of course the promises that it has made to Kenyans, and him asking for a little bit more time for the effect to be felt. Simba, that's what's happening on this end. What about yours?
All right, let's look at what is happening on the Standard, and right there on the front page, they're talking about that story we've just cleared with on the Daily Nation, DP Gachagua's tough new job. On that, they're saying that the deputy president, who has been calling for reforms in agriculture so that farmers can get guaranteed minimum returns, the dismantling of state capture, has now the chance to do exactly that for the valued coffee sector. So it will be overseeing the coffee sector. Indeed, that's exactly what that story is talking about. But then on the sideline of that, the bigger headline there also is how the court has ordered the liquidation of Saiton funds. By the way, on that story, again, now Saiton owes around 4 billion to 14 billion to be exact to 4,000 investors. Saiton has been in the headlines of a couple of the days last year as well, even the year before that. They're struggling just to create value within the market. Now the court has officially ordered the liquidation of the Saiton fund, so then some of that money can get back to the 4,000 investors. Read much deeper into that story on page 10. Also, again, Kerry is targeting 20 billion in capital gains. We did see exactly how that was again revised, because they increased it 3 times what you're paying now. It's up to 15% from 5%. So that's exactly what is targeting right there. Again, counties are also facing a revenue crisis on page 21 of the Standard. I gotta ask you this, Nelima. There's a story of how a teacher was murdered, in Kisii, Nyamira County, but that's my county, by the way. Do you remember it? That was last year during the festive period.
Right.
Yes, the teacher who essentially was found sleeping with a certain nurse, and the lover of the husband, yes, of the nurse, then came in and killed the teacher, and the body was dumped in one of the houses in Nyamira County. Read that story, but it's such a sorry story on page 3 of the Standard. And here they're saying the detectives had difficulty identifying the body until Registration Bureau verified Maguma's fingerprints. That's how bad it was, the mutilated body of that particular teacher. Read that story on page 3 of the Standard. A warning for infidelity in relationships, rather?
Oh, well, in December, in line with that, they're called the crimes of passion. And as well, the ongoing court case of Edwin Chiloba, who was a fashion designer. And remember, the prosecution has asked for 21 more days and held the 5 suspects who have been in police custody at the moment. And of course, we'll be giving you details of the same. They will be detained for 21 more days. And in line with what you had just mentioned, Simba, these are crimes of passion, which seem to be on the increase. Perhaps a topic that we should be delving into more one of these fine days.
Pretty much. All right, that's exactly what it is. We take a tiny breather. Once we come back, what is trending online? Indeed, thank you very much for being part of our broadcast this morning. And if you're just joining us, this is Lookuptv's Morning Drift. My name is Simba Kiage. I am with Nancy Nelima at this time. Let's cross over online so we can see what it is that you're talking about. And there's a lot that's going on, especially in the country's economy conversations, political conversations, and social conversations. Some of those stories are the ones that are still trending online, the ones that Nelima is talking about, crimes of passion and all that. All right, let's start with our first one, and we're going to go straight to our tweet center so we can see exactly what it is that we have for you so we can get to read it together. And don't know whether ready. Can we see them together then? So we can all read them together. All right, let me cross over. We jump straight into the tweets so we can start getting into it. Let me just pick this first one, and I think this one will be touching on Mudavadi. It's trending this morning, and Nelima, it's interesting conversation that is picking up. And this is one from one of Mwami, who's saying, apparently, Mudavadi has the roles a deputy president is supposed to be having. It seems President Ruto is already putting a wedge between Rigathi and Mudavadi. Reason why Riggy is always politicking, since he's a lame duck DP, Mudavadi is the man to watch in this Kenya Kwanza administration. Do you agree?
Right. I believe there has been allegations of a tiff between the chief prime minister, the chief cabinet secretary, beg your pardon, who is Musalia Mudavadi, and the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, and so much on their roles and responsibilities. The president did try to define what exactly are the roles of the chief cabinet secretary and the roles of the deputy president. But again, they just seem to be a little, a very delicate balance right there on their roles and responsibilities. So while Musalia Mudavadi has been seen to be the man, he has the face for it, but Rigathi Gachagua then plays the politics.
Would you agree that indeed when it comes to putting the two men together, I mean, we did see what their functions were, isn't it? Other than this one now, where DP has been given a new job then of overlooking the coffee sector. But if you look at Mudavadi's new role, it is just the relationship between the executive as well. What seems fancy? Because that's what gets people talking. Would you rather go to the agriculture sector or you work within human resources? It looks as if for Mudavadi now it's human resource, relationship within government, sort of the boss of the executive. Would you say that? Right,
and critics saying then that Musalia Mudavadi, his position can't be felt exactly. For the rest of the cabinet secretaries, then their responsibilities are definitely well cut out for them. For the health cabinet secretary, Nakumicha, for Ministry of Transportation and all the other agriculture, their work is well cut out for them. But for Musalia Mudavadi, which is a new role that was created in the Kenya Kwanza administration, then might take Kenyans a while just to understand, much as the president has tried to define and differentiate the roles and responsibilities of the deputy president and the chief cabinet secretary. They don't seem to be very clear.
Pretty much. I just want us to go to the next one, Nelima, which you put this into perspective. This one is from Senator Gerard Gay. Since what he said, that it's sad to note that some Luya Azimio Oka members of parliament have started attacking or reprimanding Rigathi Gachagua. They should stop ASAP as soon as possible. Instead, they should focus on castigating their Azimio Oka running mate, Karua. Riggy should be respected as a national leader. Does he have a point? I mean, the guy's been speaking heavy, and you know where this one stems from, Nelima. It's between Sakaja and Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua is of the idea that matatus should not leave the CBD. Sakaja is saying, I'm the boss of Nairobi, so I'll make the final decision. And members of the Zimio are looking at exactly the tiff now, the seeming tiff between Sakaja and Rigathi Gachagua, saying, well, Why should it be there? It should shut up and leave Sakaja to the affairs of Nairobi.
Right. Of course, the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, has been making headlines for, all reasons. And of course, the conflict between him and Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja being one of the latest. And then even spiking a conversation on tribalism as well. That then most people in the matatu industry are from Mount Kenya. And so just eliciting a lot of conversation on tribal lines and now possible cracks then in the Kenya Kwanza government, now with the tea for the Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, as well as the would-be or could-be friction between him and the Chief Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi. And Simba, so I will take it up upon myself. And tomorrow, just bring a very nice breakdown of the roles and responsibilities just to make our audience understand exactly what's the role of the Deputy President in the Kenya Kwanza government, as well as the Chief Cabinet Secretary under the Kenya Kwanza government as well. It'll
be interesting to look into that. Now, listen to this response just before we go to the last tweet that we have for you this morning. This is according to Okumu Ajinga, who's actually responding to Senator Cherargei right there. He's saying that we know what is happening in Kenya Kwanza. Rigiji isn't happy with Mudavadi, and Mount Kenya is using Sakaja as a scapegoat. We will impeach Sakaja. What did he do wrong to be impeached for? And then he's telling Senator Cherargei, get your house in order. Bits of truth in that, you would say, isn't it?
Oh, well. Oh, well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And of course, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is a man of a strong personality. And of course, one of the stories also making headlines today is the Deputy President saying that he will go after the people who are under the Uhuru government who got their wealth illegally, and they will go after them and making sure that those senior officials then do not get away with public money.
A lot of conversation around this. Let's look into the last one, then I'll put this conversation into proper perspective. This is according to Gachagua. He's saying, was I a tribalist when I asked people not to vote for Igade? It's stemming from the fact that been conversations about how Rigathi Gachagua has been speaking, saying to heavily lean towards the mountain in quotes, if you do know what I mean. Now he's coming back and telling people, you guys think I'm a tribalist? So you think I was a tribalist by telling people not to vote for Igade. So he's asking people to really fashion their conversation around that decision of him telling people not to vote for Igade. Is it, Nelima, I just can't get it. Why is this conversation for tribalism coming from?
Right. Of course, the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, has been called tribal by critics just because most matatu owners in Nairobi then are Kikuyu.
That's it.
And so then defending them would look like he is just supporting his people. But the Deputy President now comes out to say that when it was time for the campaigns and the election, he was not in support of Igate, who is someone from the mountain just as him. So if he did not support Igate, is in that testament, true testament of who he is as a person, he supports whatever is right or whatever, simply just subscribes to his school of thoughts. And that he is not a tribal man, coming straight from the horse's mouth.
I'll tell you that.
And of course, that also just bringing up the possible cracks within the Kenya Kwanza government. Oh, well, historically then, history has it that a lot of the coalition party, the mixed government, then doesn't make it to the next election. Is that what's happening? Only time will tell.
And
of course, we'll be right here just to bring our viewers up to speed with what's happening within the Kenya Kwanza government.
We'll be watching, isn't it? This is King G. George was saying, answer to your question, yes. And that you did has no significance to your current stance. Now, this is a very interesting one. Every time you speak, this is from Fred, yeah? Every time you speak, it's Mount Kenya. You've never spoken about other parts of the country, and you're DP of the mountain. Then it says tribal. I mean, conversations around that. And if you want to read the entire statement, Gachagua did say, to those calling me a tribalist, was I a tribalist when I asked Bishop Wanjiru to step aside and support the one who was also supporting the bottom-up agenda? Or when I asked the people not to vote for Igade? As the entire statement there for DP Gachagua. Wow. They've been given those assignments. They've already been told exactly what to do. Whether you read a TIF within Kenya Kwanza, it's for you to look at it and then say, what is happening? Yeah.
Morning Drift, what are your thoughts on the Deputy President roles and of course that of the Chief Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi? Keep tweeting and of course do let us know what your thoughts are and also what your resolutions are. Remember, we'll be coming back with that conversation and we'd want to know, what are your 2023 resolutions? What's the big plan or what are the goals that you have set? Use the hashtag The Morning Drift. Nancy Nelima here and Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. We take a very short break, but he'll be coming back with the latest.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
Sienda nayo huko ndani, unaacha hapo kwa lake ndio uingie.
Ni wacho kwa lake namna gani nataka kutumia huko ndani? Nimekuja na hii gani ndio inatumika? Hii paketi ama hii kuchota? Kwani serious hii? Bwana wacheni mchezo bwana. Nini?
Karibu customer. Hizi bidhaa unaziacha pale kwenye luggage ndipo sasa ufanye shopping kwa supermarket yetu. Kuchota ni kufanya shopping pekee.
Ni kufanya shopping.
Raundi hii chota mapema na Hetia Supermarket ndio best. Kwa mara nyingine tena Hetia Supermarket inakuletea chota na Hetia Supermarket. Ushiriki shindano la chota ni rahisi. Ingia tu Hetia Supermarket iliyo karibu nawe Kitale, Bungoma, Eldoret, Kakamega, Kisumu, Busia, Naivasha, Limuru, Nairobi, Thika, Nyeri, Meru, Chuka na Maua. Nunua bidhaa ya shilingi 600 na zaidi na utapewa raffle ticket. Jaza vizuri na utumbukize kwa sanduku ili mlangoni. Utakuwa umeingia kwa draw ya kujishindia zawadi kama gari 7 aina Daihatsu Mira, pikipiki 21 aina ya TVS, 1130 school fees, TVS, microwaves, shopping vouchers na vingine vingi.
Bas, ni huku. Saidia mimi.
Chota imethaminiwa na Uwe Bacon, Savannah Juice Fruit Vial, My Choice Hand Wash, Zesta Choco Primo, Ketepa, Blue Band, Aramco, Oven Fresh Bread, Nivea, Silent Night Mattresses, Coca-Cola pamoja na Hisense. Shindano hili limeidhinishwa na BCLB permit number 002816. Sheria na masharti kutumika.
Chota na Hetia Supermarket na hii motokaa gari smart kabisa inaweza kuwa yako. Unangoja nini? Ingia, fanya shopping yako Hetia Supermarket, kuchote na hii kari, hii motokaa inaweza kuwa yako. Mtu anaweza pesa kwa buti.
Hetia Supermarket, a world of choice.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design. with branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa. Our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
We are online at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. Talk to us. I am at Kiage Simba. This is the Morning Drift. Let's then cross over then to the newsroom so we can get to see some of the biggest stories that you're waking up to this morning. 5 suspects in the murder of a fashion guru, Edwin Chiloba, who was murdered and his body found dumped in Kipkenyo last week, will be detained for a further 21 days for police officers to conclude investigations. Ian Kisani opens our bulletin this morning.
The suspects in the murder of Edwin Kiprotich Kipto, now famously known as Chiloba, led by the prime suspect Jackton Odhiambo, today appeared before Eldoret Chief Magistrate to answer to charges of murder. Chief Magistrate Richard Odenyo directed that the suspects be remanded for further 21 days to aid in investigations with the case scheduled for hearing later this month.
The application is granted. You can mention it. 21 days will take us to which date? 30th of this month. Mention on 31st of January.
With the Chiloba believed to have been an activist of the LGBT community in Kenya, his family has come out strongly to deny those claims, terming the deceased as a staunch Christian since his days in primary school.
Kwa majina ni Kaudensha Tanu, first cousin ya Edwin Kiprotich Kipto. Tunashukuru Mungu kwa umbali huu ambaye tumeona hakika serikali yetu ya Kenya inafuatilia mambo yake. Mambo ya kotini imebidi tukuja tukamwacha bale mmoja kwa uchungu, lakini hakika tunaona serikali yetu ya Kenya inatusaidia. By that 21 days ambaye polisi wameomba, nina uhakika at the end of the day kuna light na Edwin atapata justice. Yeah. Sisi kama familia tumejua mtoto wetu alikuja university, ako 4th year. Mambo mengine ambayo tunaona kwa social media hatujui. He was brought up as a Christian. High school Kimuron, St. Francis Kimuron alikuwa anaitwa pastor. Alikuwa student leader akiongoza mambo ya YCS. So hii mambo mengine tunasikia hatujui, tumeonea media, tumeonea social media, na ninaomba wa Kenya just be fair. Be fair for us. Kwa sababu kuna mtu anaweza taka mtoto wake akue hivyo. Just be fair, atujui ya mambo na mtoto wetu amewawa. Tunataka tu justice, nothing more, just justice. Na muache arrest in peace.
Chiloba, a fashion designer, was a 4th-year student at the University of Eldoret. He's alleged to have had an altercation with his alleged lover and friend Jackton Odhiambo before his murder, with police officers having already captured the vehicle used in dumping the body. Ian Keitani, Lookuptv.
Nelson Ontita was yesterday arraigned before Magistrate Calestas Sindani Nambafu in Ogembo over the brutal murder of his 2 children in Kisii County. Ontita will remain in custody for a further 14 days to aid in investigations and determination of his mental health status.
Is he and Hawaii. We are seeking 14 days to hold the suspect
Move on to the reorganization then in the government that has seen His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto issue an executive order of the first notification of this year 2023 that will see new roles assigned and reassigned to his cabinet in the light of the organizing in his government and transformative plan of the nation. Rigathi Gachagua, his deputy, has been assigned in different institutions where will deputize the president in execution of the president's functions in accordance with Article 147 of the Constitution. Chair cabinet committees oversee implementation of cabinet decisions across all ministries and state departments, whereas the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, held by Hon Musalia Mudavadi, will assist the president and the deputy president in the coordination and supervision of government ministries and state departments, chair and coordinate national government, a legislative agenda across all ministries and state departments in consultation with and for transmission to the party coalition leaders in a parliament. This first order of this year supersedes Executive Order number 1 of 2022. Retired Chief Justice David Maraga has been sworn in as the chairperson of a task force that will oversee reforms at the National Police Service and Kenya Prisons Service. Maraga and 22 other members of the task force were appointed by President William Ruto.
2 years after his retirement as the Chief Justice, David Maraga is back in the public service docket.
I, Chief Justice retired David Kenani Maraga, having been appointed as chairperson.
Maraga is now the chairman of Police Operations Service Reform Task Force. This is after he was sworn in to head the 20 members task force.
Doreen Muthaura, having been appointed
as a member to the National Task Force on improvement of the terms and conditions of service,
do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Constitution and the President of Kenya.
In his acceptance speech, the former CJ indicated that all the members of the task force appreciate the critical nature of the task ahead of them and that they were equal to the task, adding that he will seek to incorporate the input of the general public through public participation.
It is clear to the entire membership of the task force that the task ahead of us is a critical one that needs all our effort. As a team, we look forward to engaging the leadership of both the National Police Service and the Kenya Prison Service, the two institutions that are core focus of our assignment.
Chief Justice Martha Koome congratulated Maraga on his appointment as the chairperson of the task force on police reforms shortly after the latter was sworn in, asking the task force to push for reforms in the sector.
This is the Kenyan dream for a police service and prison service that serves the people and upholds utmost professionalism. Indeed, our criminal justice sector cannot function effectively when our men and women in the police service and prison service are not motivated and enabled with a conducive environment that will enable them to discharge their mandates. I therefore urge you, honorable members of the task force, to work towards the realization of our constitutional dream of a democratic policing.
Among the roles of Maraga-led task force, will be recommending improvement of working and living condition of police officers, identifying and recommending legal policy, administrative and operation reforms in the National Police Service. The task force will also review and recommend improvement of police welfare in the National Police Service and the Kenya Prison Service.
So it is our hope as a task force that the deliverables from this assignment will form the basis and the impetus for the current administration to implement its commitments to the stated police and the prison reform.
David Maraga team will assess and recommend on improvement of the working and living conditions of the police officers in the country. Reporting for Lookuptv from Supreme Court, my name is Shadrach Kareria.
Uasin Gishu County Commissioner Edison Anyale on a Monday confirmed the arrest of marauding criminals who have been involved in a car theft between Uasin Gishu, Trans Nzoia and Kakamega, saying that more than 14 vehicles have been recovered and will be returned to the owners. Nyale also confirmed that there is no differences with political class from the region, saying that there have been assistance to the security sector. This comes after leaders led by Deputy Speaker National Assembly and Uasin Gishu Governor demanding the sack of security personnel in the entire region following increased crime.
Na walikuwa wanakuja tukawashika njiani. Uzuri ndio huo. Wanatoka Kakamega, wamefika Mumias, wanakuja Eldoret, waende Trans Nzoia. But yao siku 40 kafika kwetu, tumewashika basi kwa ndani. Tushukuru hilo jambo. Tumeshika watatu sasa. Tumeshika watatu. Na in case kuna anybody else ambaye amefichika, yeye pia tunaangalia. Tumeshika na kuregesha magari 14. Imebaki gari moja KAY. Nilikuwa tunajiuliza hii pia ni gari, wacha tuitafute na tumpatie mwenyewe. Na moja mwisho ilikuwa Trans Nzoia, Toyota Hiace. Na all the numbers, we have all the numbers. Mkitaka tuwapatie. Na tuone hawa watatushukuru ama watasema ni bure, lakini magari yao tumeregesha. It's a positive and it's an achievement that the security agencies have moved in swiftly to arrest those firearms and also those culprits who have been causing insecurity in this county.
Members of the County Assembly of Kiambu on a Monday assembled for their special meeting outside the offices of the county's governor, Paul Kimani Wamatangi. While addressing their grievances, the MCAs stated that the governor's self-will to his Wamatangi Foundation in undertaking the county development projects without their concern, pasting his picture in the county government vehicles and bus free allocation for his own food.
Members of the County Assembly in Kiambu County brought their frustrations outside the offices of their county's boss, Kimani Wamatangi. In their quest to understand the reason behind their governor's behavior, the MCAs wanted Kimani Wamatangi to come clean on his intentions to using his Wamatangi Foundation for his own benefits in the name of developing the county, leaving other leaders behind.
Kama kwangu Ting'ang'a, yeye anaenda mashinani na anasema Mwaura hana responsibility ya representation at the ward. Surely I niliitisha kura, niliomba kura, nikapewa. Huyu ni appointed. Is he recognized within the act?
Kwa nini tulikuwa tunapitisha CEC? Kama CEC hawezi fanya kazi, ati kazi yote lazima ikuwe kwa governor. Ukipigia CEC wa barabara, tinga, tractor ya kulima barabara, lazima ukuje kwa governor.
In addition, the leaders wanted Wamatangi to indicate clear distribution of the bursary allocated funds to different areas in Nyahururu, stating that their governor is conflicting them with the citizens.
Pesa zimewekwa za bursary in this financial year zile tulikuwa supposed kugawa ni 100 million. But my governor alisema wakati ya ni Mashujaa Day, Jamhuri Day, alisema tutagawa 200 million. Nauliza nikiwa chairman wa education, where is the other 100 million? Because ile pesa iko pale is 100 million. So he is taking us in conflict.
Wanataka kutumia foundation inaitwa Wamatangi Foundation. Sisi ndio tulichaguliwa na watu wa Kiambu. Watu wa Kiambu sisi ndio wanauliza maswali. Ikifika ni mambo ya basari, wazazi wanakuja kwetu manyumbani. Hawaendi kwa wale watu wa Wamatangi Foundation. Na sisi tulikuwa tunataka kuambia governor apeane basari kulingana na vile imenakiliwa katika kisheria.
Kwa hivyo tunaomba governor afuate sheria ya kwamba bazares zitoke na zitoke sasa. Shule iko karibu kurudiwa, sasa tunataka atumie ile njia inayofaa kisheria.
The one-term governor who had not reported in his office will have a heavy task to bear and bringing the leaders back to track and solving out their problems.
Kwa ile gari mnaona za NHIF, hii nini anafanya NHIF, bado wamebadika picha kwa gari zake ili watu waone na ni gari za county. Sisi tunataka kusema hatukubaliani na kuwekwa kwa picha za gavana.
Mimi ninaomba governor tusaidiane. Wamatangi, ninakuomba udilink Wamatangi Foundation from the activities of the county government.
If the understanding will not be brought to desk sooner or later, Kiambu County will experience such misunderstanding now and then between the governor and his leaders in the service of Kiambu people. Moses Okech, Lookuptv.
Moving on. Jiga menace has been a nuisance in the Shinyalu-Kakenya area, prompting officers at a Kakenya police station in collaboration with community health workers and administration officers to move from house to house in different villages, treating people infested with jigas. The Chief Public Health Officer, Shinalu Joseph Luambi, has asked the residents to maintain a cleanliness in order to avert the spread of jigas.
Tunasema kwamba kuna watoto hawa ambao wanatakana kwenda shule lakini wameathiriwa na dudu na tunaona kwamba tukaweza kuwasaidia kwa kuwatibu kwa maana tumetembea na madaktari ambao wana ujuzi. Tunalenga watoto hawa hata watu wazima, vijana hata na wazee wale ambao wameathiriwa sana wakaweza kutibiwa.
If we reach out to a bigger population, tutaweza kusaidia wale ambao wako nyumbani, but we do a repeat exercise after we've done this one, and the same time tunajaribu tuwezavyo ili we reach out to as many people as possible. But you find that it's a big challenge to us because walking around the community and maybe going to each and every household to ensure that our watoto, our mama, watoto na kila mtu ambaye ako na shida anafanya nini, anatibiwa. Ukiangalia hata the type of housing we have in these areas, utakuta most of them ni za udongo, alafu the red soil iko predominant in this area, na unapata ya kwamba hii wadudu ambao ni jiggers wanapenda sana hiyo red soil.
Katika vijiji hali imekuwa ngumu kwa watoto wenye wako na jiggers. Juu hawawezi enda shuleni, afya yao imeathirika, hawana amani. Hata natumai ya kwamba watoto wataenda shuleni shule zikianza 23rd.
Mimi ninapea OCS pongezi kutembea huku mpaka ameniletea madaktari watibu watoto wangu, niona watoto wangu wanarudi shule wakiwa sawa, pamoja na wote wenye wako kwa hizo mashule wakuwe wako sawa.
Miguu yangu matuti na ninaoma, nika na matuti kwa miguu, nataka kuponyaji kuka hapa na polisi.
Watoto wengi wameathirika, wengine wanashindwa kutembea kutokana na hizi chikas. Nashukuru wa polisi wote pamoja na OCS waendelea kututembelea hivyo wakitibu watoto wetu na ndugu zetu ili kumaliza hiyo ugonjwa wa chikas.
Tumeshirikiana na OCS Khaeka, madaktari, CHVs kutembelea watu wetu kwa hizi jamii mbalimbali, haswa hii sehemu ya Kwirenyi ambao wameathirika pakubwa sana na hii mambo ya chikas. Na sisi kama ofisi tumechukua hiyo initiative na tutaendelea nayo, tutatembelea hizi area zote ili tuhakikishe tunasaidia watu wetu, shule zikifunguliwa wakuwe katika afya, wakuwe na afya bora katika mazingira mazuri.
Well, that story marks the end of our morning drift bulletin this morning. Remember, you can get much more of these stories online at lookuptv.co.ke, but also on our social media platforms at Lookuptv across all of them. We take a tiny break right now. Nelima will be back with a conversation around setting your goals, especially at this time when indeed you do need some of those goals set as you chart 2023. Take a tiny breather. I'll be back again from 11 to 12 for Look at Business.
Wewe sienda nayo huko ndani, unaacha hapo kwa luggage ndio uingie.